I'm planning on doing a short story collection that's actually very, very short stories that I write on Twitter. And so I wanted to be able to search my tweets, all of the tweets that I've made using these various very short story hashtags. And it ended up being a much more difficult process than I expected. So I thought I'd go ahead and recreate it here on a video for anybody else who's trying to figure this out, or for me if I want to do this in the future. Here we go. We're going to start with Twitter. And the first thing you're going to do, and I'm doing this on my desktop, but there are ways to do this on the app as well. So unfortunately, if you do it on the app, it's going to take you to your browser inside in your phone. So you won't do the whole thing on your app, but you can do it on your phone. You're going to click on your name, and then you're going to go to Settings and Privacy. All right, continuing on, I'm in Settings and Privacy. And I've scrolled down because I don't want people watching this to see all of my personal information, which is what's at the top here. It'll have up here, it has your email address and your phone number. But you're going to scroll down to Data and Permissions and click Your Twitter Data. Okay, now I can go ahead and make this bigger again. And then you're going to enter your password, autofill. All right, there's my Twitter password. And you'll click Download Data. When you do this, it's not going to say download data yet because it takes time for Twitter to compile that data. So it'll tell you that it's compiling the data, and then it will send you an email and I believe also a push notification if you have push notifications set up. I don't. But it'll send you an email, so make sure you watch that email address that's associated to your Twitter account. It took Twitter a few hours to compile my data. Once that's done, you'll come back to this screen and click Download Data. For me, it took a while to download this data because it was a fairly big file because of all the data that I have. Once you've downloaded that data, for me it was 1.85 gigabytes. Yours may be more or less depending on how much you've used Twitter and how much media you have on there, because it will download all of the pictures and everything that you've ever put on there. So you're going to double click that in your I'm on a Mac, I'm in Finder right now, but however it is that you access your files, you'll double click it in order to extract that file because it's a zip file. Once I extracted those, I ended up with this folder that says Twitter with a bunch of, it's got the date and then a string of numbers. We're going to double click on this folder. Now, from what I've read in the past, Twitter would give you what's called a CSV file of all of your tweets that you've ever put on Twitter. And a CSV file can be opened by Microsoft Excel. Unfortunately, I was not given a CSV file. I've got all these other files. We've got some different folders, but the only record of my tweets that I could find here is called tweet.js. It's a JavaScript file. Now, if you know how to work with JavaScript and how to use other programming or scripting or whatever to turn that into a CSV file, more power to you. What I found was instructions that I found online on how to turn JavaScript into CSV. They were above my pay grade. I'm great at getting around a computer, but I do not know how to do my own programming or scripting. So I ended up on a website that let me take this JavaScript file and turn it into a CSV. Let me show you that website. It's called JSON to CSV Converter, and it's just JSON to -csv.com, JSON-csv.com. You can upload a file for free that's up to, I think, 1 megabyte, and you click here and you upload that file that you just extracted. It will be that tweets.gs file, and then it will it'll give you an option to go ahead and download that as either a CSV or an Excel file. Now, the reason mine says up to 50 megabytes is because I went ahead and upgraded to their paid program because my file is way larger than 1 megabyte. It's 34.3 megabytes, far too large. So I went ahead and upgraded to their paid program, and that's $10 a month. And after I did my download, I went back in here up to my account and I canceled that subscription. I actually still have that subscription for the rest of the month if I need to use it again. But I canceled it so that it's not continuing to charge me every month. They will charge you through PayPal, so make sure you have a PayPal account for this. To me, paying $10 for this conversion was well worth it because it's the data that I'm getting. I'm going to be putting some of it into a book, and this just seemed to be the best way to look at all of these old tweets. I've tried using Twitter Advanced Search, but I think it kind of stopped pulling tweets at some point where I didn't get all the ones that I wanted. And also with Twitter Advanced Search, I would have had to do a ton of copying and pasting of the tweets that I wanted to use, whereas when you've got it all in a spreadsheet, it makes it a lot easier to use that data. So again, $10, worth it for me. You'll have to decide if it's worth it for you. Just make sure that you cancel that subscription so you don't continue to be charged for that. This is a great tool though. So once you've uploaded this file, it's going to give you two buttons. I'm not going to demonstrate this, but it's either going to let you, it'll let you either download it as a CSV or an Excel file. I wasn't thinking, and I did it as a CSV, and then I just I opened it in Excel, clicked Save As, and saved it as an Excel file. So you might as well just start it as an Excel file instead. Let me show you here where I've got my files. All right, so I had Twitter Archive 2019-06-17, and this is what I named it. This is that CSV file that I renamed resaved as an Excel file. This is what your tweets are going to look like. Now, this is just a ton of gobbledygook. It took me some time to figure out where the useful information was. So let me show you how I went through this and got it into a format that was useful for me. First of all, you want to you want to hide a bunch of columns that you don't need because you just don't need all of these. So I don't like hiding column A. You can make it real small if you want to, but however you want to do that. When you hide column A, it's hard to unhide the columns. There's a way to do it, but it's just kind of a pain. So I like to keep column A there. So I'm actually going to delete that. Anyways, we'll keep column A there. We'll just make it really skinny. All right, now I'm going to get rid of all the columns that I don't need. So I'm going to highlight B over here. I'm going to scroll over and see where the first column is that I actually want. Here we go. All right, what I want is I want the number of people who favorited it. That's AK over here. And so I'm going to hold down the Shift key and highlight column B through column AJ. That Shift key just allows me to highlight sequential columns. I'm going to right click and hide all of those columns. Now, like I said, this favorite count column tells me how many people have favorited the tweet. You may or may not need this. You'll have to figure out which columns you need, but I want that one. I don't need any of these, so I'm going to highlight them, right click, hide. I do want the retweet count, and I want the tweet ID. The tweet ID is a big string of characters that Twitter gives to every tweet, and they're sequential. And so if I need to sort these tweets by which ones were oldest, I can use this column to do that. I've learned that this created at column, while it's nice to look at and see when I created these tweets, it doesn't work well for sorting. So the ID column works well for that. So I want my favorite count, my retweet count, my ID. I don't need these two columns. Right click, hide. I want column AT, which is my created at, and I don't need this favorited column. Right click, hide. And this full text column is actually what you wrote in the tweet. We definitely want that column. And I personally don't need any of the rest of these. I'm holding down Shift all the way to CB, right click, hide. And then I'm going to make this column, whoops, I didn't mean to keep that one. Here we go, hide. Okay, I'm gonna make my full text column wider. And later on, we'll do more with that. So now we've got this great kind of slightly cleaned up list of all of our tweets. I'm going to right click, click rename, and just say all tweets. Now, I don't like to start massaging this data too much until I don't want to do it and have something that's kind of difficult to go back and undo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here on the top left. I'm going to copy, which you can click up here to copy, or I just click Command C or Control C on PC. I'm going to start a new sheet down here by clicking the plus button. And then I'm going to do Command V to paste, or you can click paste up here. Now I pasted all of that. So now I'm going to start working with these tweets and doing what I want to do with them. The first thing I want to do is sort them by ID. And there's all of these blank lines because some of the tweets, the different data they provide uses up multiple lines, but all I really need is my text. And so I'm going to get rid of those lines. Just trust me, this works. Click up here to the left. I'm going to click data, click sort, click, by the way, you need my list has headers. It needs to be clicked up here. I'm going to click by, now these are all these things that we, all these columns that we hid are still showing up here, but I'm going to go down here to ID, sort by ID, and I want largest to smallest because I personally just want my newest tweets showing first. Click OK. And there we go. We've got all of my tweets. Look at that. There's the ones from yesterday, which is June 17th, going all down here. And it goes way, way, way back. Thousands and thousands of tweets. The next thing that I want to do is I want to only look at tweets that where I used particular hashtags. So again, I'm going to go ahead and rename this. Rename. I'm just going to say tweets sorted. I probably don't need to do this much renaming. I just kind of want to be safe. So I'm going to, again, copy, Command C, paste, Command V. All right. I had to go back on my recording a little bit. Just so you know, I renamed this tab working. It's just the data that I'm working with. And what I'm going to do first to work with this data is I'm going to pull out only tweets that have a particular hashtag that I want, that I have written. And those tweets are called satsplat. And so the hashtag I'm using is satsplat. That's one of the flash fiction games that I like to play. So I'm going to select this entire sheet by going up here to the top left of the cells and selecting them. And then I'm going to do some filters. First, we click filter, and we click here where it says full text. We're going to, under filter, it says choose one. We're going to say contains. And then I'm going to put in the hashtag that I want, satsplat. Capitalization doesn't matter here. It'll pull it whether it's capital or lowercase. And then I'm just going to click return. And if you look over here, it has filtered out everything that doesn't have satsplat. Now I'm going to do another filter. But to do this other filter, what I'm going to do is copy and paste all this data again. So we've got our filter here. Because I actually have to do like 3 different filters here. So I'm going to highlight this first row, scroll all the way down to the bottom of all of my results. See, all of the results, all the tweets are still here. It's just some of them are filtered out. But I want a sheet that only has the tweets that I want, not filtered, just the tweets that I want. So I'm going to shift, highlight my bottom row here, copy, which is Command C for me, start a new sheet, and paste, Command V. All right, now I have all my satsplats. I'm going to do one more filter here. Filter, full text. And we're going to say does not contain or does not begin with. Now here's what I'm doing. I don't want my satsplats that are retweets of other people or replies to other people. I only want the sat splat flash fiction that I've written that's not a retweet or a reply. So I'm going to say does not begin with RT. Retweets begin with RT. And then we just click return or whatever, and it gives me another option, and I'm going to say and does not begin with at, just the at sign. All right, return. Now I've got all the sat splats that I want. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to do what I just did. I'm going to highlight from the first row down to the bottom row. I've got a much more manageable list now. Command C. I'm going to start another sheet, Command V, and now I have exactly the sat splats that I want. I can go back and delete sheet 4. I don't even need it. Delete it. Yep. I'm going to rename sheet 5 as sat splat. And on my working sheet, if I want to do another search for something else, like I use the VSS365 hashtag, all I have to do is turn off the filter up here under data, click the filter, and now I have everything available to me again. So that's why I want to keep this working sheet so I can just be working with whatever I want to here. The working sheet is the same as the tweets sorted sheet, so really maybe you don't need to. I'm just trying to double everything up in case I mess something up so that it's easier to undo it. So here's all my sat splats. And these are all ones that I have written just as regular tweets, not retweets or replies. Now here's the problem. On any of these tweets, I tend to use a lot of line breaks in my flash fiction tweets. So I break them up into small little paragraphs. And line breaks show up. I'm going to make this bigger for you. Line breaks show up, if you look up here, they show up as \n. There's 2 \n's in a row here because I did a double line break to break up a paragraph. \n. And I want these tweets to actually look like they looked when I tweeted them with real line breaks. So this is the part that was really hard for me to figure out. I can tell you this works in June 2019 for Office 365 for Mac. It may not work in other ways, and you may have to do some Googling. I personally had to find a couple of different websites that showed me different things to do and kind of combine the advice to find something that finally worked for me. First of all, I just widened this column. Later on, I'm going to want it to be wider, so I widened it. You can do that if you want to. First step we're going to take here is to highlight the column F, right-click, and click Insert to put another column to the left. I'm just going to make this column bigger. Okay, so we have an extra column here. I've made it wider. And we're going to need to put some formulas into this F column. Okay, so I'm not going to try to explain how Excel formulas work. Just know that this one does. There's a specific formula we need here, and it's in the comments of the YouTube video, and it's also in the blog post that I have connected with this YouTube video. Here's the formula. It's called a substitute formula. You're going to copy it. Copy. Paste. There we go. All right, so you can see that the formula's up here, but what it's done is it's taken this \n and replaced it with a line break. I'll show you in a minute that worked. So we've got, then we need to put that formula through the rest of this sheet so that it'll do it on all of these tweets. So I'm just going to copy this cell, F2, click on F3, scroll to the bottom, shift and click on the very last cell, and that has selected F3 through the bottom, and then I'm going to paste, Command V, and now that formula is everywhere where it needs to be. Now we want to get rid of the formula, so all we have is the text. So I'm going to escape so that nothing is copied. I'm going to start at F2, again, scroll to the bottom, shift and click to highlight all of those, Command C, and I'm going to go up here to G2, and we're going to do what's called a paste special. Go up to Edit, Paste Special, and we're going to just paste the value that's in here, not the formula. So click values. Again, this doesn't have to make sense. Just trust me that it works. Values. Okay. And now we've got all of our tweets in the format that we want them to be. I'll show you in a minute how that works. Click this whole G column. Click wrap text. And look at that. Look at these beautiful tweets that look exactly like they looked on Twitter with the line breaks where they should be. We can get rid of this F column now. You really don't need it. Right click, delete. And now I have all of my SatSplat tweets in the format that they were in when I did them. I know this is kind of a pain, but it's so much better than going through a search on Twitter and trying to copy and paste things. Now I have things that are just like they need to be, and I could take this tweet and I could copy it and paste it into Word and actually have it in a document, which would be amazing. So I hope that helps you all, and feel free to email me at carolbethanderson@gmail.com or connect with me on Twitter at CBethAnderson. That's at CBethAnderson on Twitter, and let me know if I can help you out with this.